Hello, my dear students, and welcome back to Dr. Wasif Academy. I hope your journey to on the track of biology is going well. In previous lectures, under the chapter of photosynthesis and plant nutrition, we have covered the process of photosynthesis, research history of photosynthesis, discovery, leaf structure, and limiting factors which affect the process of photosynthesis. Okay, today we shall dive into that how crop yield can be maximized in greenhouses and how these limiting factors which are light, temperature, and carbon dioxide affect the crop yield under controlled conditions. And definitely we shall discuss about essential minerals. Okay, so let's get started. So as we have spent a lot of time talking about what limits a plant, now let's talk about how we can remove those limits to grow food faster and more efficiently. This is the word of commercial horticulture. First of all, you should understand what is a greenhouse. A greenhouse or a glass house is a sophisticated controlled environment. It always allows a farmer to play with different factors like weather and bypassing seasonal constraints to maximize the rate of photosynthesis 365 days a year, means the whole year. The first thing a farmer controls is light. In many parts of the world, winter days are short and cloudy. To fix this problem, farmers use powerful artificial grow lights. These are not just regular light bulbs. These are often designed with a specific spectrum, heavy in the blue and red wavelengths, as we have discussed earlier. That why blue and red wavelengths are dominant because they give the chlorophyll exactly what they want. So by extending the daylight hours or boosting the intensity on a gray afternoon, the farmer ensures that light is never the bottleneck. Then what will be the result? The initial energy transfer stage of photosynthesis is always running at full throttle, leading to much higher crop yield. So providing light is just the first step. To truly unlock a plant's potential, we have to look at the atmosphere inside the greenhouse. In a high light environment, carbon dioxide quickly becomes the bottleneck. Remember, the air outside only has about 0.04% carbon dioxide. So in a greenhouse, farmers use carbon dioxide pumps or paraffin heaters to boost that concentration up to 0.1%. So by removing this common limiting factor, that is the carbon dioxide, means by increasing the concentration of carbon dioxide from 0.04% to 0.1%, the assembly line for glucose can finally move at a full speed. Next, we have temperature. Farmers do not just heat the room, they optimize it. Why they optimize the temperature? Why they do not let it being increased? You have the answer of this theory in the previous lecture. So using sensors and ventilation systems, the farmers keep the air at the exact optimum temperature for that specific crop's enzymes. So notice the clever engineering here. Many greenhouses use gas or paraffin heaters. As these fuels burn, they release two things which the plant love, that is heat and carbon dioxide. It is a two for one deal for the farmer. So what is the bottom line here? When we optimize light, carbon dioxide and temperature simultaneously, we get maximized photosynthesis. If you remember the previous lecture where we keep when we were discussing light intensity and we kept carbon dioxide and temperature as constant factors, then at a certain point there was no increase in the photosynthesis. And when we were discussing about carbon dioxide and we kept light and temperature as constant factor, then after a certain point even the concentration of carbon dioxide was increased, but there was no change in the process of photosynthesis or in the process of respiration. So why that happens? Because light, temperature and carbon dioxide, they work simultaneously to maximize photosynthesis. So for the plant, this means rapid cell division and more biomass, like think bigger, juicer tomatoes and faster growth. So for the farmer, this is a massive economic advantage. Even though running heaters and pumps cost money, the faster turnover and larger yield mean the profit far outweighs the expenses. It is science and business working hand in hand. Up till now, we have looked at what happens inside a single leaf, but if we zoom out, we see that photosynthesis is the engine which stabilizes our entire planet. It is the fundamental process that powers the biosphere. First of all, let's look at the gas balance. We often describe plant as carbon sinks. Like a giant sponge, they soak up billions of tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere every year. And without this sink, that is without these plants, our planet would be much warmer. On the other side of the scale, we have the sources of carbon dioxide. So respiration, that is a natural source. So every living thing from a fungus to a human breathes out carbon dioxide. However, humans have added a massive new source, that is the combustion. That is by burning fossil fuels like coal and oil, we are releasing ancient carbon which was stored underground for millions of years. So here is the net result, that is the outcome of this all phenomena. Photosynthesis is the only natural biological process that counters both respiration and combustion. It is the primary reason our atmosphere stays stable at roughly 21% oxygen and 0.04% carbon dioxide. And without this balance, complex life as we know it simply could not exist. We would not just eat because of photosynthesis, we breathe because of it. Beyond balancing the air we breathe, photosynthesis serves a second equally vital role. It is the energy entry point for our planet. Think of the sun as a massive power plant. Most living things, including you and me, have no way to plug in to that solar energy directly. This is where producers, that is the plants, they come in. They are the only ones capable of capturing that light and converting it into stable chemical energy stored in their biomass like glucose, like starch or proteins. So when an animal eats a plant, it is essentially stealing that stored solar energy. This energy then flows through the entire ecosystem. Without photosynthesis, the power to every ecosystem would be cut off and the entire web of life would collapse. So my dear students, if you see the exam question that why is photosynthesis important for life on earth, remember that you need a two-part answers to get higher marks. Number one is gas balance. Mention that it is the only process that removes carbon dioxide to prevent global warming while simultaneously providing the oxygen required for aerobic respiration. And the second part of your answer would be the energy flow. Explain that it is the primary process that inputs energy into food chains. So every bit of energy in your body right now was once a photon of light captured by a leaf. By covering both the atmosphere and the food web, you show a complete understanding of why this process is the most important chemical reaction on this planet. To finish our journey, I want to show you one of the most beautiful symmetries in all of science. We call it the great biological mirror. Think of photosynthesis as a builder or anabolism. Its goal is to synthesize food, specifically glucose, that is for growth. It happens only in the green parts of the plants. So, using light energy to turn carbon dioxide and water into sugar and oxygen, it is essentially an energy storage system. Now, look in the mirror. Aerobic respiration is the breaker or catabolism. Its goal is to break down that glucose to release usable energy. So, unlike photosynthesis, respiration happens in all living cells 24 by 7. It takes the glucose and oxygen the planet just made and turns glucose and oxygen back into carbon dioxide and water. So, do you see the magic here? The outputs of photosynthesis are the inputs of for respiration. Okay, the outputs of photosynthesis are the inputs for respiration, and the outputs of respiration means carbon dioxide means those are the inputs for the photosynthesis. Okay, so while photosynthesis stores sunlight as chemical potential energy, respiration releases that energy as ATP and heat to power life. So if someone consumes carbon dioxide and releases oxygen, the other consumes oxygen and means if a process consume carbon dioxide and release oxygen, the other process consumes oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. So they are two halves of the same coin, perfectly balancing the atmosphere and the energy flow of our world. As we have looked at these two processes, that is photosynthesis and respiration, these are opposite, but it is crucial to understand they do not happen in isolation. They are deeply biologically interdependent. Why these are interdependent? Input and output relationship. Okay, think of it as a perfect recycling system. The products of photosynthesis, which are glucose and oxygen, those are the exact raw materials required for aerobic respiration. And in return, the products of respiration, which are carbon dioxide and water, those are the uh, materials which are required for the plant to start photosynthesis all over again. So if you look at the math, they are mathematically inverses. Okay, you can see this in this equation, that 6 molecules of carbon dioxide in plus 6 molecules of water, then they give, when they react in the presence of sunlight, they give glucose and oxygen, but it happens in the process of photosynthesis. In the process of respiration, this is the opposite. Means glucose and oxygen, when they react, they give water and oxygen, and also they release ATP, that is the currency energy. Okay. So if you are asked why these processes are connected, then talk about the cyclical flow of atoms. Okay, cyclical flow of atoms means carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen are constantly being handed back and forth between these two reactions. And never forget the golden rule for multiple choice questions, that plants respire 24 by 7. They never stop it. Okay, they never stop breathing to release energy. They only perform photosynthesis when light is available. So in the daytime, they are doing both, but at night time, the mirror, that is the respiration, it only reflects the respiration side. Till this point of the chapter, we have looked at the leaves anatomy, leaves functions. Okay, but how do we actually prove that these gases are moving as we predict? We use a brilliant tool called hydrogen carbonate or bicarbonate indicator. It has already been discussed in previous slide. This is just a quick recap of that experiment. This indicator, that is the hydrogen carbonate, or you can say bicarbonate, that is sensitive to carbon dioxide levels. In normal air, its color is red. So if carbon dioxide level drops, it turns purple. If carbon dioxide level rises, it turns yellow. It means at a neutral stage, that is red, and if the level of carbon dioxide decreases, then it turns purple, and if the level of carbon dioxide increases, it turns yellow. Now let's look at our experiment. In the light setup, we have a healthy leaf in bright light because it is photosynthesizing faster. Here you can see this is light setup. It is photosynthesizing faster than it respires. So it is taking in carbon dioxide from the air in the tube. So as the carbon dioxide concentration falls, the indicator shifts from red to purple. Now look at our control setup. Okay, this one. Here we have wrapped up a second tube in aluminum foil to create total darkness. So in the dark, photosynthesis stops, but the leaf is still a living thing. It is still respiring. It releases carbon dioxide in the tube, causing the indicator to turn yellow. This simple color change is the ultimate proof that light triggers the consumption. Light triggers the consumption of carbon dioxide, while darkness leaves us with only the breath of the planet. As we have seen how plants take in carbon dioxide, but now let's look at the other half of the equation, that is the production of oxygen. To see this, we go underwater using an aquatic plant like Alodia. This setup is a classic example. Okay, we place the pond weed under an inverted funnel as discussed in the previous lecture. Okay, it captures the tiny bubbles which the plant releases through the process of photosynthesis. So these bubbles travel up into a water-filled test tube. So pushing the water down, a process called downward displacement. Once we have collected enough gas, we perform the ultimate proof, the glowing splint test. We take a wooden splint that is glowing but not on fire, and we dip it into the tube. So if it relights, we have 100% confirmation that the gas is oxygen. From an exam viewpoint, you need to be very comfortable explaining controls. In our carbon dioxide experiment, the tube wrapped in foil was the control, because it proves that the color change in the light was not just a random event. It was specifically caused by light-driven photosynthesis. Also, a quick memory check for your indicator colors. Yellow means high carbon dioxide, means the plant is breathing in the dark, and purple means low carbon dioxide. It means the plant is eating the gas in the light. And if you can draw this LOD setup and labels the gas correctly, you have mastered the core of experimental gas exchange. We have discussed the net gas exchange in detail. Now, as we have understood that photosynthesis creates the carbon skeleton of the plant, but a plant cannot live on sugar alone, just like humans need more than just calories to grow. So plants require specific inorganic nutrients from the soil. They absorb these nutrients through their roots using active transport system. Today, from this point, we shall start with nitrogen in your fertilizer bag. Okay, first of all, we shall discuss nitrogen. Nitrogen is the ultimate growth builder. It is a critical part of amino acids, which are the building blocks of every protein and enzyme in the plant. So it is also found in the plant's DNA and crucially it in the chlorophyll molecule itself. So my dear students, plants absorb nitrogen mostly as nitrate ions. But what happens if the soil is poor? We see two very clear deficiency symptoms. Number one is stunted growth. That without nitrogen, the plant cannot make the proteins required for cell division. It simply stops growing. And the second deficiency symptom, that is chlorosis. Chlorosis, this is a fancy word for yellowing. Because the plant cannot make enough chlorophyll, the leaves lose their green color, usually starting from the bottom of the plant. Here you can see the example in this picture. Okay, this is the picture of nitrogen deficiency. This is the chlorosis. Okay, so if you see a small yellowing plant in the garden, you are looking at a nitrogen famine condition. Next up in our NPK, means nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium trio, is phosphorus. If nitrogen is the builder, phosphorus is the energy expert. Its most important job is being the central component of ATP. That is, ATP is adenosine triphosphate. So think of ATP as the universal battery of the cell. Without this energy currency, the plant has no way to move or use the energy it captured during photosynthesis. So beyond energy, phosphorus is vital for the walls of the plant cells. It makes up the phospholipids in cell membranes and is a key ingredient in DNA and RNA. So my dear students, plants absorb this mineral, that is phosphorus, as phosphate ions. If they run low, if it means if the concentration of phosphate ions is low, the symptoms are very distinct. The number one symptom is poor root growth, because root cells require a lot of ATP to actively pump nutrients from the soil. So a lack of phosphorus causes the root systems to fail. The second symptom is purple leaves. This is the telltale sign. When a lack of nitrogen turns leaves yellow, a lack of phosphorus often turns the leaves a strange dark green or even a dull purple look. So if you see purple tinged leaves and a plant that refuses to grow deep roots, it means does not have deep roots, then you know exactly what is missing from the soil. What is missing from the soil? Then that is the phosphorus. Finally, we come to the potassium in our NPK fertilizer. Potassium, think of potassium as the plant's metabolic catalyst. It does not necessarily become a physical brick in the plant's wall. Instead, it acts like the foreman of the factory, activating over 60 different enzymes involved in both photosynthesis and respiration. One of the most critical roles is regulation of the stomata. As we have discussed earlier, stomata are the gates. Those are the gatekeepers for gas exchange. Potassium controls the movement of water into the guard cells. Okay, so when potassium ions move in, water follows by osmosis. These cells swell and the gates are open. So without potassium, the plant cannot breathe or cool itself down effectively. Plants absorb this as potassium ions. When they are deficient of potassium ions, the symptoms look like the plant is being burnt from the outside. What will be the symptom? The edges and tips of the leaves will turn yellow first. As you can see in this picture, the tips and the edges are turning yellow. And the second symptom is necrosis. This is a fancy term for tissue death. You will see brown dead spots appearing on the leaves, as you can see it here. Okay, brown spots. As potassium is involved in building strong cell walls and moving nutrients, a deficiency makes the plant floppy and prone to breaking. So if your plant looks like the edges of its leaves have been signed by a fire, it is a clear symptom for potassium deficiency. Magnesium, this is a very important mineral required for the plant. Okay, so if we think of chlorophyll as the engine of photosynthesis, then magnesium is the central spark plug. Without this specific metal ion, the entire process of capturing light energy comes to a grinding halt. So my dear students, plants absorb magnesium from the soil as magnesium ions. Just like the other minerals which we have discussed in this chapter, it is taken up by root hair cells through the process of active transport. This means the plant has to spend energy, ATP, to pump the magnesium ions to magnesium into its system. So once inside, it is highly mobile. Magnesium is highly mobile, traveling through the xylem directly to where it is required the most, means the developing green leaves. So now here is a fascinating biological fact. The structure of a chlorophyll molecule is almost identical to the hemoglobin in your own blood. What is then we should know that what is the only major difference. Understand that with this point that while humans have iron at the center to carry oxygen, plants have magnesium at the center to capture photons of light. Specifically, this magnesium atoms allows the plant to absorb the blue and red wavelengths of sunlight. This drives the light reaction which kicks off the entire process of making food. So without magnesium, without this uh, single atom of magnesium in the middle, the leaf would be as useless as a solar panel kept in a dark box. Then what happens when a plant runs out of magnesium? We see a very specific type of chlorosis, which is the loss of that vital green pigment. Because magnesium is mobile, the plant does something quite clever but very drastic. It cannibalizes itself. It pulls the magnesium out of the older, lower leaves and sends it up to the brand new growth at the top, means towards the apex. This is why in a magnesium deficient plant, the bottom leaves turns yellow first. Here you can see the bottom leaves turn yellow first. It is also important to look at the hidden parts of the plant. Unlike a phosphorus deficiency which destroys the root system, a magnesium deficiency primarily attacks the foliage. In the early stages, the roots might actually look perfectly healthy even while the leaves are fading away. So for your exams, you must be able to tell the difference between a nitrogen deficiency and a magnesium deficiency. Think small and yellow. It causes stunted growth because the plant cannot make proteins for new cells. And if there is deficiency of magnesium, then think intervenal chlorosis. This is a specific pattern where the veins stay green, but the tissue between them turns pale or yellow. So if an exam mentions pale leaves but says the roots appear normal, that is a massive clue that magnesium is the culprit. Okay, there is magnesium deficiency. So the plant has its structural blocks, but it has lost its ability to catch the sun. Here we conclude our today's lecture. If you have any question about today's concepts or any previous part of this chapter, drop them in the comment section below. I will be jumping in to answer them. And if you found these lectures valuable and have not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a lecture. And do not forget to share this video with your classmates and study groups so we can help more students master these concepts together. At the end, thank you for watching, keep studying hard, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.